to speak about AI as an opportunity, but also a threat vector. When it comes to use of AI, everything is about safety. We need to put human oversight before anything can affect critical environment. With AI, with automation, with agentic, where do we position human in the picture? If we don't want to be replaced by AI, we need to position ourselves in the picture.
Cybersecurity focuses on protecting data. For Christophe and his teams, cybersecurity also means protecting the operational and physical systems that power everyday life. As Group CISO and Chief Product Security Officer at Schneider Electric, Christophe leads the global cybersecurity and product security organization, securing technologies that support critical infrastructure across more than 100 countries. In this conversation with AI Cyber Magazine, Christophe shares his perspective on introducing AI into operational technology environments, where the stakes extend beyond data protection, safety, continuity, and trust.
If we educate our people to be a first line of defense, to know what to do with data, there is a good opportunity there. More than accountability, risk assessment in everything we do. The posture is really what comes in the first place, and regulation compliance should be coming as a result of this posture.
Christophe, welcome to AI Cyber Podcast. So to kick off this conversation, Christophe, let's assume somebody just randomly bumped into this video on YouTube or reading the magazine right now and is seeing you on the cover. Why should they stick around and either read the interview or watch us chat right now?
I will say two things. So what is in CISO's mind when it comes to AI, adoption of AI, and are we scared, excited, both at the same time, and how do we address it to adopt this revolution, this opportunity at scale for a large company? And the second one is to discover why this is so important that we put ourselves or we put human in any use case in the picture of the deployment of any AI use case. So that would be my second idea.
Awesome. From just researching you, I know that we have a lot in common, and I'll be signposting some of them later on. But I was really fascinated by the fact that you hold two roles, Group CISO and Chief Product Officer. To me, that means that you're responsible for securing Schneider Electric as an enterprise and securing the industrial products deployed in hospitals, power grids, and water treatment plants worldwide. How does owning both sides change how you think about AI risk?
Thanks for this question. So AI accelerates risk by amplifying speed, scale, exposure, sometimes emotion. And when we thought about AI risk at Schneider, we thought about creating either a separated risk just for AI, or much more having AI as an accelerator of different cyber risks that we had already. Okay, and we really chose to embed AI in every risk area as an opportunity first. So because we need to speak about AI as an opportunity, but also a threat vector like others, like suppliers, etc. So really, these risks can materialize across all domains differently, thanks to AI sometime. And this way, in doing so, we make sure that every business owner, every domain owner is owning its risk with AI, part of the risk and part of the opportunity as they want to transform themselves. So the thing is, it's business as usual when it comes to cyber risk. And at the same time, we need to recognize that AI is a bit special, a bit different. So we created with our AI hub, which is made of 350 data scientists and specialists in AI, a risk leader or digital risk leader that can work on the cyber AI practice to help the other domain. And the other piece we clubbed into this, let's say, expertise, really a way to create digital trust by aligning AI, cyber, data, legal, and compliance at the group level. So this is really the way we have approached that. So not making AI specific, but at the same time recognizing that we need a special AI practice in order to infuse the expertise in every risk.
That's such a very interesting perspective to see AI as opportunity first. That's the first time I'm hearing that, by the way. And I know that there will be so much to unpack from this conversation already from that first response you've given me. But I've also been thinking about security and the way you lead your teams as CISO and how it's different from, say, how someone in your role will lead the would drive the CISO role possibly in a SaaS company. So I'm thinking if a CISO from a SaaS company sat in your chair for a week, what would shock them about securing operational technology where a bad decision doesn't just leak data, but also could shut down a building or a grid?
So first, of course, we see that there is a lot of commonality. We are still here to protect data, to protect
Absolutely.
operation, financial operation, customer operation, things like that. But when you think about Schneider already as a company, as a large company, we have a large industrial footprint. We have close to 200 factories across the world. So you need to protect these factories. Like we need to provide technology to our customer and critical infrastructure, etc. So we don't have a critical infrastructure inside, but we still have a lot of operational environment that we need to protect. So here, this obsession as a CISO of managing pure digital system, or a combination of operational system embedding digital, or pure operational system is really, really interesting playground. And here, when you think about patching a system, which is kind of common in cybersecurity, so in operational environment, you cannot just have an automatic patching and move on. So you need to sometimes stop a factory to have a window to maintain and then to check and to have assurance that your patching is at the right level and it's not creating disruption. And this
And you
is really
haven't broken anything.
absolutely, absolutely. And that creates sometimes also a paradox that in operational environment, someone sometimes say, hey, we don't patch because we don't want to break anything. So here it is a fine balance between having a good security posture and making sure that you don't break anything.
Yeah. That's interesting. And just a side question, how many employees do you have in Schneider Electric? I saw upward of 50,000.
150,000. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. 150,000 employees. That is huge. I will come to that very soon. But I know that you run across 100 countries. Some of it is in critical infrastructure, like you've mentioned. When you hear the term AI agent, do you think about the software layer first, or the turbine, or the breaker panel, or the hospital ventilation system it could eventually control? I know you may not necessarily have AI agents yet, but if that's technology you may be thinking about will deploy it very soon, which of these areas would you be thinking about?
We already developed some AI agent along our offer, etc. So we are already thinking heavily about this, of course,
Okay.
but more than thinking, they're developing some of them. But here, very important that we always put a technology for an end goal. An AI agent is also the same. And here we don't think just about the software. We start with a system, with our operational system, with a business outcome, and we deploy such technology, including AI agents, really to support a real operational objective, either on efficiency, either on the speed of deployment, etc., to accelerate decision and to augment humans. So like analysts, developers, finance, customer operation. I think the commonality here from an attention standpoint is we need to put human oversight before anything can affect critical environment. And when we say critical environment, it's not only operational environment. So it can be critical system or process, etc. So the piece, which is a bit a paradox when you think about an AI agent, so you always think about autonomy, speed, not having human touching on it, etc. But here, at least our step of maturity, and I think this is very much needed for critical operation, we need in every use cases to put human in the loop And having
Okay.
human in the loop at the right place, at the right time, etc., is kind of a success of the AI agent implementation.
Oh, that's very interesting. Actually, we're seeing that conversation tilting very increasingly to talking about human not being in the loop. But again, your use case is very strong, which is the fact that technology is a means to an end, and that end dictates what technology you get to deploy and how you get to deploy it. So that's very interesting and insightful for me. And I want to move the gear to incidents. Like any other company in the world, Schneider, has dealt with some incidents in the past. What unique insights into your security architecture did you gain from these experiences that you could have maybe you couldn't have learned otherwise, or would have been tricky to learn those and apply them?
Excellent question. As you said, so every company, specifically with a large landscape, have incident. And the point here of going into incident is challenging, specifically when there is either an external exposure or impacting our customers. The key piece there is how do you manage this incident with the right transparency? We talk a lot about info sharing in the community, in the cyber community, but I think the reality check is how transparent you are when having an incident. And this is where really info sharing is coming at play. And it's really a team sport. So the way you go through an incident is already super structuring, either internally and externally. But the way, more importantly, you debrief this incident at the right level up to the board. But you get also lessons learned so that how do you correct course? Either it's your policy not being strong enough, or either the enforcement of a policy is not done the proper way, or either you had a blind spot in your perimeter because it's large and you need to embrace it in another way. So you have a lot of learnings on every big or small incident, so to speak. The topic we have launched, let's say, in the last 2 years, that is, of course, very promising, is chasing for exposure.
Okay.
Really not waiting an exposure to be attacked, not waiting only that policy are implemented or enforced in every part of the company, but really having an active chasing of exposure, really operated globally, creating some friction and sometimes some emotion, but is very much needed to find open doors, to find things that should not happen, data that is exposed, to find a system lacking MFA, to make it simple, even at customer place, product that should not be exposed. So this exposure management goes beyond our mere perimeter.
Fantastic.
So this is a very interesting approach. Again, and you are always super happy to find exposure. You are not happy because you need to fix it, but you are very happy because you find it yourself rather than the bad
Yeah,
guy.
bad actors.
Exactly.
That is very, very key. Just that proactivity around finding it and then, addressing the issues that you find. So I absolutely enjoyed seeing that you presented at Cyber AI Expo, the 2026 event that recently just held. I saw that you co-presented with your colleague, the Chief AI Officer, on the premise that AI cannot create trust without strong cybersecurity foundations. But I wanted to ask what that partnership that was displayed, what does it look like in practice? I mean, the partnership between the CISO and the Chief AI Officer.
So there is no option on collaboration here because we are first in charge of making Schneider and the company adopt AI massively, of course with different angle, but I think there is a lot of alignment in the business goals. It's about protecting and enabling the business at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And protecting is not just only with the CISO, and enabling is not only with the chief AI officer. There is part of both parts for each of them. So our joint effort here is really to create, maintain, and run a responsible AI governance model. Okay, so there is some shared accountability, but there is more than accountability, a risk assessment in everything we do. Of course, we have sometimes regulation that are helping us, But the posture is really what comes in the first place, and regulation compliance should be coming as a result of this posture. So
Sorry, say that again. Say that again, because that is something that I have been going on about. But the way you put it was so good. Please say that again. That
uh,
posture comes before compliance, and posture literally just helps compliance.
exactly. And by the way, when you reflect on the number of regulation you have in the world, you have no choice than having a posture that makes sense so that you can comply as a result. If not, you are piling project or compliance project in every part of the world, which is not something that is scalable and feasible for a company. So really, this responsible AI governance model is also a set of controls, a set of guardrails, policy that we do together, but also with a responsible AI committee that we have with legal, ethics, HR, compliance, data, etc. So we have a lot of business leaders in this responsible AI committee so that we review the different use cases, we review what we want to achieve, and we make decisions together of the risk level we want to have, etc. And we know that we will have to correct course here and there. Sometimes we'll have to fail and to learn and to correct course. But this is really the way we are addressing the topic together.
Awesome. And I know that Schneider has one of the largest industrial supply chains on the planet. You've mentioned even in this chat that you have over 200 factories across the world. And you know that from also this conversation, AI is being embedded into, say, supplier systems, for example, logistic platforms and manufacturing processes across that chain. How do you assess AI risk when the AI isn't yours?
So, like we assess technology when technology is not ours. So this is kind of
Yes.
the same. Again, it's business as usual with supplier risk, where we want to address their security posture, their resilience in case of big issues, the way they can scale with us in many different regions of the world. So when AI is embedded there and we want to adopt AI from their, let's say, remit, so we need to make sure that it aligns with our responsible AI approach. It aligns also with the way we want to adopt it in operational environment. Again, repeating the control, it's about being clear about accountability, about transparency, about contractual control, about the way, let's say, data flows and the way we have training or we can opt out. So here it's, let's say, qualification and assurance when we embed such technology in our landscape. And overall, it's about trusting the value chain we are part of, okay? And
Okay.
also abstracting sometimes the complexity of the technology we embed to our customer, because ultimately, we are in charge of selecting the technology we want to use, and we implement the technology we are using. So we have security by design, let's say, push and check upstream, and we need to secure our operation with such technology toward our customers as well.
Awesome. During this chat, you got to tell me that you have over 150,000 employees working at Schneider. That's a huge number. Again, on our chats with experts like yourself, captured in the expert panel, which you publish in each issue. Last winter issue, Rob T. Lee from Sans told us that 96% shadow AI usage rate makes ban policy theater. Right. My question is, what does shadow AI look like for companies like yourself that also build and ship industrial solutions, industrial technology globally?
So first of all, 150,000 people is an opportunity. This is our first line of defense.
Mm,
Okay, so if we educate back to our culture, education, if we educate and we educate our people to be a first line of defense, to know what to do with data, to know what not to do with technology that we don't know or we don't master, etc. So I think there is a good opportunity there, so that we have some guardrails. Is it enough? Not. It's not enough. But is it needed? Yes, definitely. And So shadow AI, the wording of shadow AI looks like that there is things in the shadow and things that are not in the shadow. So the perimeter of the company is the company. It's not an artificial perimeter that is managed internally. So from a brand perspective, from an outside world perspective, so shadow AI does not exist. So this is AI that is coming from Schneider, etc. So using shadow AI put security practice as a blocker, you know. So the point here and the approach we are taking is really first to educate, second to provide do's and don'ts, third to say, hey, what is okay, not okay, and if there is things that we don't know, because there is things that we don't know, an opportunity to raise a hand and to say, hey, there is things that we question here. Should we do something? Should we pilot it? Should we check it before it becomes in the vetted solution rather than not unvetted solution? And here we kind of add our own experience there and learning like everybody, I believe. So whenever ChatGPT came into this world, we first check, should we ban ChatGPT from an internal usage, yes or no? And then again, with our colleague, our chief AI officer at Schneider, we say, okay, so I think we will implement our own chatbot. Okay, but by this time, we don't ban ChatGPT. And once our own internal chatbot is ready, we ban public external tools as a first step. And then as a second step, I think it was 6 months later or 8 months later when excitement was still here, but maybe with more elements. Here we say, okay, now let's reopen the public tools of the public LLM, etc., because it brings value. And let's push education and strong awareness around enterprise data. You don't push your enterprise data on external tool. And when you reflect about it, it's like using Google Translate. Do we ban Google Translate as a security leader? No, we don't do that. But we tell people, or people knows by themselves, that they don't put sensitive data in Google Translate to translate a critical contractual element, for example. So I think this is really the same approach we are having here. And of course, there will be, because we are a technology company, there is a lot of creativity. The question is, how do we manage this creativity so that it scales securely? And that's really the approach that we are having. And of course, it comes with a lot of monitoring. It comes with a lot of education. It comes with a lot of quick reaction if we see something new, etc. And it comes also with an obligation to be able to assess pretty quickly if a technology is okay or not okay on the long term.
Awesome. I know that there was a time where air gapping OT networks was considered the gold standard and possibly still maybe a gold standard. But I want to ask you, in the context where AI requires connectivity, data flows, and cloud integration in some cases, is the air gap dead, or is there still a version of isolation that works when AI is in your stack?
Air gap dead is certainly a bit too strong of a sentence. Having said that, it's true that a lot of operational environments now should benefit of having AI prediction, recommendation, observation with data flowing from operational environment to a cloud or to an AI model, etc. And this is really what we do with our EcoStruxure platform at Schneider. And this is what's done, let's say, generally. Now, having said that, we have critical infrastructure that we don't connect to the cloud. Okay, because we need to be overly cautious of any connectivity. But we have a lot of operational environments that are connected to the cloud. And here, we know for a fact that this connectivity is not always done properly. That overly exposed OT devices, overly exposed sometimes devices that are not patched, back to your previous question. So here, there is an increased attention needed to this connectivity. AI or not AI, by the way, because it can be just for remote maintenance. And with the pandemic, so we observed a big push on connectivity to be able to maintain remotely operational environment here and there. And here, by the way, we have started an initiative 3 years ago to chase, like we said before, on exposure, but here really on operational environment, on OT networks, to chase OT networks that are overly exposed over the internet.
Okay.
And guess what? We find a lot where we reach out when it's possible to identify with the user or the customer. And we partner also with authority there to close the doors where they should be closed and where the connectivity should be, let's say, reinforced and more secure than it is today. And we have a lot here. And with the AI automation of findings of such open doors, so this is really a pace remediation that we need to have as a collective effort.
Awesome. As we begin to wind down this conversation, I'm also curious about how you explain AI risk in OT environments to policymakers and board members. I want to know what framing actually gets traction.
Again, I think it's not AI for AI, because AI in a generic way can be excited, can take a lot of time in discussion. But at the end of the day, this is about use cases, business outcomes that we want to address, etc. And when it comes to use of AI in essential services or in critical infra, etc., everything is about safety and business continuity at the same time. So I think what gets traction is this element of safety, is this element of making sure that there is no disruption. Again, as a result, what's getting traction is kind of the criticity of the use case that we want to implement with AI.
Okay, awesome. So, talking about boards as well, what questions should boards of critical infrastructure companies be asking right now that they currently are not?
I think first thing first, to see how AI should be taken as an opportunity, either to ease critical infrastructure operation, to get more insight about how operation can be more efficient, more sustainable, more green when this is possible, and to augment also the operators of the critical infrastructure. So that's the first piece from an AI adoption standpoint. The other piece, of course, when AI is involved as a use case, is really having a clear accountability model with AI, which is happening already in a 3-tier architecture without AI. But who is responsible on assets? Who is responsible on the edge? Who is responsible on the cloud? And sometimes you have a shared responsibility model, but specifically on critical infrastructure, need to be super clear about who is responsible for what from an operation standpoint, but also when you have a critical situation, so that you don't look to each other if there is something wrong. I observe some incident where even the IT division of a critical infrastructure operator and the operation itself was not completely aligned on the way they were managing firewall, etc. And I can tell that we observed some bad incident there just because of this governance unclarity, so to speak. So anyway, responsibility, accountability, and where AI decisions are documented. So I think this could be a board question for critical infra.
Beautiful question, but beautiful answer, I mean to say. So we typically ask this question last to all our guests. It's a finish the sentence kind of question. So finish the sentence. The thing the critical infrastructure security community is not talking about enough when it comes to AI is.
I think first it's a repeat, but I will repeat it again. So where do we position human in the picture?
Okay.
And I think, again, if we don't want to be replaced by AI, we need to position ourselves in the picture at the end of the day. So this is also an existential.
I like your honesty.
And now the other idea I could add is in the past. So 2 years ago, I believe it was in summertime, we had a major operational and systemic outage in airport or infra due to a software update, a software
Yes.
automatic update, where first security by design was not applied because it was not qualified properly. But second, security by operation in the environment was not okay as well because we allowed automatic update in operational environment that led to disruption. So I think with AI, with automation, with agentic, we are not reflecting enough on such systemic incidents that could be even scaled to the next level with this automation. So that's really, I like us, and I'm part of the problem, so I hope I will be part of the solution, like us to reflect a little on what we are putting in place at a systemic level so that we don't have systemic accidents.
Awesome. So I'm going to take the question again. So you complete it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So finish the sentence. The thing the critical infrastructure security community is not talking about enough when it comes to AI is.
Where do we position human in the picture?
I like that. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for taking out the time to have this chat with us. This has been so insightful. It's been insight packed, and I'm very sure that a lot of people would be able to pick up a thing or two to learn from this. And that's what community is about: just sharing and all of us learning from each other.
Thank you. Thank you, Confidence. Pleasure for me.
Thank you.